Kim from Naturally Stem. I am very happy to see you today. We've got a lot of things to talk about. Today I'd like to talk about the awesome adaptations of animals. Now I don't know if you could tell, I have one specific animal that I really love to talk about. If you can't tell, we'll talk about him in just a minute. But I love to talk about all animals as a biologist and a naturalist. So I study and teach about the nature of all kinds. Animals being one of my favorite things to talk about. And their adaptation. Animals adapt to their surroundings. So the word adaptation means that an organism, a plant or an animal, because plants can do it too, they will change either their behavior or parts of their bodies, their structures, so they'll get special body parts. Sometimes they might lose a body part to adapt or to survive better in the environment that is surrounding them. So an adaptation is a change over time in an organism that will help them better survive in their environment. Now this is Oli, and this is my corn snake. He is not a wild caught snake. He is a captive bred snake. So friends, I want to say this before I go any further. I am a biologist. I've been doing this for a long time. And so when you see me do things like this, don't think it's okay to go out there and just do it for yourself, okay? This is for educational purposes, and I hope you have fun while we're learning, but I don't want you to go out and think that you can just grab hold of something, because sometimes that's not going to be very safe. And I'm going to help you out a little bit today. But always remember, never go out to wildlife, never touch anything or get up close to anything because it can be dangerous. Always have an adult with you, and always watch wildlife from afar, okay? So always remember that. I appreciate that. So this is Oli, my corn snake. And Oli gets his name, or the corn snake rather, gets their name in a couple of different ways. Now I'm going to ask Mr. Oli to be kind enough to let me show you his stomach. And can you see that pattern on his belly? Do you think that that really checkered pattern right here? Thank you, my friend, for being so kind. See that pattern right here? He's so soft, and he's not slimy in any way. It's just the shine off the light on his scales. That's the only reason he looks wet, but he's not. This pattern right here on his belly, where I tickled him, that gives him the name of corn snake, because that looks like the multicolored corn that you see around the holidays. Think of the corn some people might have in their house right now, okay? Another reason he's called corn snake is because way back when we first started to plant crops and things, we would find them in our cornfields. We thought that they were eating the corn, but what were they really eating? You bet. They were eating the mice, the rodents, and the little insects that were actually eating the crops and destroying them, actually. So we eventually learned that the snakes were good for us, and that we wanted to have them around because these guys will actually eat those critters that could actually really cause us diseases. Mice carry the black plague, the bubonic plague. So these guys were helping out the farmers. We just didn't know it for a while. Once we did, we left them alone and let them do their job. Another adaptation that snakes in general have is they have this wonderful body structure of mainly ribs and muscles in between. That is what allows them to locomote, that is my word, to move like they do. And they have that serpentine movement going on. That is what happens, is the muscles. And he's getting into our paper snake there. He's checking things out. He's just looking around. Hopefully, my friends, also while I'm talking to you, you will see that snakes are not the evil creature that a lot of movies and cartoons and books depict them to be. Snakes will defend themselves, but they don't really want to attack you unless they have to, because they know that you are not food for them. They understand that you are bigger than what their mouth is going to allow them to eat, right? This guy couldn't eat me if he wanted to, okay? He knows that. We're also friends. We've been friends for a long time, so we have a good working relationship at the same time. But, so always keep that in mind as well. They are very beneficial to us, so always be really kind to them. These guys have awesome adaptations. The pattern on these snakes are adaptations in themselves. I'm going to talk about venomous snakes here in a minute, but it's the patterns that these snakes have that will also help identify them. Help identify them as venomous or non-venomous and what kind they are. And we'll get to that in a minute. But let me ask you this. Did you guys know that snakes don't have external ears? Okay? So if I looked at Mr. Ole and I looked at his head, I'm not going to see ears. So my question to you guys is, how does he hear? Good answers, good thoughts there, but he's doing it right now. Let me move him back so I can make sure you guys can see him. I'll move this. So you see him moving. You see him moving in the serpentine, but he puts his chin on the ground and he hears by vibrations. So he is a ground creature. So this is just a very logical adaptation that he puts his chins on the ground and he hears by feeling the vibrations. Now, if I was walking, he would be able to feel that. So if you're walking in the woods and you don't want to encounter a snake, I tell people to do a snake stomp. So make sure you make a firm footprint and they will feel that on the ground before you get to them. Long time before you get to them, and usually they're going to be way away from you before you get to the spot that they were, okay? So they hear by vibration. So make a lot of vibration in the ground. Don't get really loud because that's not going to matter. Okay, so that's a really cool adaptation. And if you guys put your hand on your chest and go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you will feel the vibration. So when I have him on me, he can't hear me, but he can feel me. So he knows things are going on. So he's really cool. He's checking things out right now. Look how calm he is. He's just meandering, and it's all good. So I said that my buddy Ole here is non-venomous. So do you guys understand what non-venomous means? It means that he does not have the fangs. So here is my venomous snake, if you guys can tell. And here is my non-venomous snake. I can tell my venomous snake by the fangs that he has in his mouth. And then he's got littler teeth that will help him grip the prey item. He's going to take his fangs and envenomate with venom his prey. He's going to wait for it to die, and then he'll eat it whole. My constrictor friends, like Ole, he is non-venomous, so he does not have any venom inside him. He does not make it. What he does is he grabs his prey by the tiny teeth he's got, and all snakes do have teeth. The constrictors just have tiny ones. They do not have the fangs that's going to envenomate you. He's going to grab a hold of them by their head. Snakes grab their prey items by the head, so those prey don't have the chance to bite them back. Okay, so that's why they eat head first. This guy will hold him in his mouth with his teeth, and he's going to wrap the rest of his body around whatever it is. He's going to squeeze it, and then when it dies, then he'll eat it whole. And those teeth will help him pull that prey item in so he can keep a grip on it. What's really cool, and I'm sure that Mr. Ole will not open his mouth for me, But what's really cool is he's got a special adapted windpipe. So when he's got his mouth full of food, right there, his windpipe can move and he can actually breathe and still take breaths while his mouth is full. So snakes are full of adaptations and they are so much fun. Really quickly, one that I forgot, you see he's flickering his tongue out there? Well, he's doing a couple of different things with that, and what do you think they are? Very good. He is, of course, tasting things, but he's smelling. He does have a nose. He does have nostrils. Excuse me, Mr. Ole. He's got nostrils right here, right on the top. But he smells with his tongue. What he does, which is what he's doing right now. There you go, my friend. So he's flicking his tongue out. And then he's catching the air bubbles that's out here in the air. Now, I don't know if you know it or not, but like myself right now, I'm shedding skin cells. We all shed. But we're all letting off smell and heat at the same time. Now, what my snake friend can do is he sticks that tongue out. Stick him out. There you go, my friend. And then he sticks it back in. And the reason he's got a forked tail is because he's got this cool adaptation in his mouth at the top, up here. It's called the Jacobson's organ. And it's 2 holes at the top of his mouth. And when he sticks his tongue out, he catches the air bubbles and he sticks them back in his mouth. And each prong goes up a different hole. And then in that, his sensory receptors can smell what it is and decide if it's a food item or not. And he can taste. Ooh, do I think I want that? Yes, I think I do. And then he will go and follow that trail of bubbles that he is smelling and tasting and find that item and have a good lunch. So his tongue is very important to them for reasons of smelling and tasting as well. So they're very, very cool animals. I absolutely love snakes. Like I said, they're so beneficial to us. Let's talk venomous versus non-venomous and how I can tell them apart. Again, before I start this part, I want to say that the snakes that I'm going to be talking about in this video are snakes that are found here in Oklahoma. Now, this is a great poster that I got, and it is from the Department of Wildlife Conservation of Oklahoma. Go to their website. You can find the same poster and pull it off. It is all of the venomous snakes of here in Oklahoma. And it will tell you the region that they're at. It will show you that. It will give you information about that. Okay? So, but what I want to say is when I'm going to explain the characteristics of a venomous versus a non-venomous, but I'm talking about only within the state of Oklahoma. I'm going to say that because characteristics of the snakes in Oklahoma, they can change within a different state, country, so bear with me and let me explain this, okay? There are some indicators. There are ways, characteristics to tell a venomous from a non-venomous snake, okay? But there are always exceptions to every rule. Every rule, okay? See if I can get my words out. So when I tell you that all of the snakes that are venomous in Oklahoma, of which we have 7 different species, we have 46 different types of snakes altogether in Oklahoma. 7 species are venomous. 5 of those are rattlesnakes. They're different types of rattlesnakes. Then we have the copperhead and the cottonmouth. Okay? All of the venomous snakes that we have in Oklahoma are called pit vipers. That means they have this gland right here. So they have 2 holes. They have a nose, they have the pit gland, and then they have the eye that is shaped like a cat eye. So when you think a cat eye or elliptical eye, that is talking about a venomous snake. Now when I say that, I'm talking about the venomous snakes of Oklahoma. There are some venomous snakes in other states and countries that they're venomous, but they will have a round shaped eye like the non-venomous. So there is always exception to every rule. For example, in Texas, they have the coral snake, which is a very, very venomous snake, but he has round eyes. Okay? He doesn't have the elliptical or cat-shaped eyes that all of the venomous snakes in Oklahoma has. But animals don't know boundaries. They don't know which state is which. So sometimes you might find a snake has wandered up a little into Oklahoma that is usually called a Texas snake. So, as I say, a general rule. Okay, so always bear that in mind as I'm talking about these things. The 7 snakes that are venomous that we do see and are known to be Oklahoma snakes, 5 of them are rattlesnakes, and they are the prairie rattlesnake, the timber rattlesnake, the diamondback rattlesnake, the Massasauga rattlesnake, and the western pygmy rattlesnake. And a western pygmy is a small snake. Okay. Then we have the cottonmouth. He's a black fat snake, and his mouth, when he opens it, is just as white as cotton. That's how he gets his name. And then the copperhead, which is also pretty indicative of his name, is a pretty copper color, and it looks like he's had a bow tie just laid over his back, or Hershey's Kisses on both sides. Okay, so that's a good way to remember them. All of those are pit vipers, so they all have the elliptical shape eyes, so they have the cat eyes. Okay, and what's really cool, if you can see this, they have a hood over their eyes, so they have this eyebrow or a hood, and it gives them a mean look. I don't know if you can see my snaky right here, my venomous snake, but he does have a pretty mean look to him. He's got a blunter nose than a non-venomous snake, and here's just the outline that I showed of a top view of what they look like. But he will have that hood over his eyes. He will have the pit gland right here, and he will have his nostrils. So he'll have 2 holes in his head. They do have the fangs. Their head is more diamond shaped than the non-venomous, which is rounded. But here's again where you have to be careful, because non-venomous snakes will do things to mimic or to act like a venomous snake, so people think that they're dangerous and leave them alone. So a non-venomous snake who has a rounded head can actually flatten out their head to make it look more triangular. Okay, so if you're not very used to that, my friend here, he's got a point and a point and a point, and he would flatten that out a little bit, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So always keep that in mind when you're looking at snakes as well. And then this shows how the difference is on their tails. Now I'm going to ask my friend Mr. Ole to be kind and bear with me one more time. He's used to this. Mr. Ole has been with me for over 10 years, and we have done these type of shows together for a long, long time. So we have gotten into quite a few adventures together, like he's in the snake right now. Hi, my friend. Can I have your tail is what I want. Here we go. So his tail starts right here. Okay. So here's his cloaca. Snakes have what's called a cloaca, so that's where his reproductive organs are. Excuse me. Come back here, my friend. And then his tail starts right here. So his tail is only from where my fingers are to right here. But on the bottom side of a non-venomous, he will have a double row of scales. And I don't know if you can see the different color there. And you see how the pattern has changed from his stomach to right there. So when that starts changing right here, he's so very kind and so patient with me. That will show you. So that double row of scales will tell me that he's a non-venomous snake. But my friends, who's going to be picking up a snake and looking at his tail to see if he's venomous or not, okay? So always just look from afar, take pictures, and then go, that's pretty cool, whatever snake that was, okay? So this, I'm showing a rattlesnake. So the 5 snakes that are venomous we have here in Oklahoma are rattlesnakes, and they're going to have that rattle on their tail. But another really cool thing about non-venomous snakes is not only will they flatten their head, but they will take their tail and they shake it. They will shake it in the leaf litter really, really quickly, and the leaves around him will rattle and sound just like a rattlesnake. Okay, so snakes, non-venomous snakes will mimic or act like a venomous snake so they can be protected. So always just view a snake from afar, see how cool they are, and then leave them alone in the environment and let them do their job. Like I said, these guys will take care of the insects and the rodents, the mice and things like that are really more dangerous to us on a more common basis than the reptiles will, than the snakes are, okay? So, what do you think of that? I hope you like that. So, I have a fun activity for us to do. You guys want to do that? And Mr. Ole's just going to hang out right here if you guys don't mind. But I thought that we could make our own snakes. We're talking about how they locomote, how they move, and they have those muscles and those ribs to do that. And I have a couple of different ways for us to make our own snakes. Now this is a really cool one, and what I like about this is that we can also practice our patterns at the same time. So you guys can get some construction paper, some tape, markers, yarn, and I think that's it for this one. That's all we need, okay? So once you have that together, I will show you really quickly how we'll put them together. Now for me, I just picked some orange and yellow because that's what I had lying around. Now I cut a couple out, but you guys don't have to be just spot on. So just take and you can have however many colors that you guys want, 2, 3, 4, however you want. It doesn't matter. And then you're just going to take your scissors, put them all together, and just take your scissors and cut them. And what I did was then take one and use that for my pattern. So I just stuck it on there again like that. And then I just cut right beside it. Okay. And then I did it again. And that's how I got my strips. And again, they don't have to be perfect. If you see a pattern on a snake, he has a pretty consistent pattern, but each one of them are not perfect. They are not the same as the one before them, the same as the one after them. He's got one here that is about that long and one that's this big. So they have a distinctive pattern, but it is not symmetrical. And so you don't have to worry about being precise and symmetrical either. That's the beauty of these things. So this is really, really easy. So I just folded it up, right? So now I have my tape, okay? You just need tape. And then I put a little piece on this side, just like that. And I put a little piece on that side. Now if you want to use glue, all you gotta do is put a little dollop of glue right there and stick it right there, okay? Now I want my next one to be yellow. So I just stick it and slide it inside there. And we're gonna do the same thing, tape it. And tape it, okay? And do that for as long as you want it. See, we got a pretty long one going on right here. And then what I did was I drew a face on him. So I just drew, and mine is a friendly, non-venomous. Now you can make him however you want. You can make a venomous snake, you can make a non-venomous snake. Remember? However you want. So I like a non-venomous snake, and I like it. They're always a little bit nicer. So I put a little bit smile on mine as well, because I like him to be smiling. And of course I stick his tongue out because he's got to have his tongue out there. He's got to be smelling and tasting, right? Okay. And then all I do, if you have a hole punch, you can punch 2 holes right underneath his mouth. That's what I did. If you don't, you can take your pencil, and I didn't seem to bring either one of those, so I'm just going to take my scissors. I don't suggest that unless you have an adult and ask them to do that for you. But you can also take your pencil and just poke your pencil in. Okay. And then, I guess I didn't bring my yarn over here either. I was not prepared. But then you would just take yarn and run it through there. And you take a big piece like that. So that way you can put him on the ground and you can stand up and walk. But then what you can do, you just move him around. Cool. He will serpentine for you. He is just so much fun. Now, for my older friends, I like to challenge you guys, my friends, to try to make something a little more than this one here. I'm going to challenge you to engineer your own type of snake. Now, you see what I used? I've used the lids off water bottles. But I'd like to see if you can make yours so you really get that nice serpentine. That nice serpentine shape going on just like that. Move it around and move it around. But I want to challenge you guys to make a venomous snake. I want to challenge you guys to make the fangs. Now, how could you make the fangs, do you think? And you don't have to use what I have here. Be creative. Use your mind. Here's what I want to do. And here's one of my favorite things as an instructor, as an educator. I don't want to just show you how to do things. I want to give you an example and let your mind work for you. So I want you to think, just look what I've got, but I want you to think of how else can I make that work? How can I do something and make fangs? How can I use those teeth? He's tickling me. How can I use his fangs, and what can I use to make him? Is your mind's working? That's exactly what I would like to see, friends. I would love for you to, once you create something, please post it on my Facebook. So go to facebook.com/naturally stem and post what you guys have made and show me. We would really like to see that. So I think that is all from me and Oli today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you later. Bye, friends. Please go out, enjoy your naturehood with your adult. Have a good day. I will see you later. Bye.